Don Jr., Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, close advisor to his father. As I said, you're one of your father's closest advisor. Why can't he and won't he say that President Obama was born in the U.S.?
I mean, I think he said it last night. What he doesn't want to do...
He didn't say it last night.
His campaign spokesperson, who he was speaking to last night, and I was with the team when they were doing it, drafted a statement to say just that. What he doesn't want to do, he doesn't want to get off message. He doesn't want to create another story. He wants to talk about jobs. He wants to talk about his economic plan.
To acknowledge that President Obama was born in the United States.
He wants to talk about jobs for Americans. He wants to talk about his revolutionary plan for women and working mothers these days. Those are the things we got to talk about. You know, we don't want to create a gossip scenario all over this thing. This is the presidency of the United States. We want to talk about the issues and putting Americans back to work.
But he's the only person who can put this to rest. In the past, his campaign has said he believes that your father has not said himself, yes, President Obama was born in the United States. I was wrong to question.
That is coming from him because I was involved in those conversations. He's going to put, the head of his campaign spokesperson is putting it out. That's from the campaign. What he has said in the past, hey, don't believe what you read when someone says a source close to the campaign. You know, don't believe what those people say, because those are guys trying to get media.
Last week, Kellyanne Conway, his campaign manager, put out a statement saying, oh, Donald Trump believes that the president was born here in the United States. Yet, when Donald Trump has the chance to do that yesterday himself, he refuses to do it.
This is coming from him, and I was involved in those conversations.
Are we going to hear him say those words?
I don't know, but this should be the definitive end of it. You know, we thought it was the definitive end when he acknowledged that, hey, we got the Obama to release his birth certificate then. But again, we want to talk about jobs. We don't want to talk about gossip.
Well, he's been talking about it for years, but he can end it by simply saying, yes, the president was born in the United States. I was wrong to question it.
I believe that's what he did last night.
But that's not what he did.
Well, we're going to have to disagree on that, but that's coming from him. And again, I know that because I was part of the conversation.
He has the ability to send out a tweet where he says, this is what I believe. But let's talk about you as well. You saw those comments you made about the gas chamber, drawing a lot of questions from the Anti-Defamation League. Here's what they say. We hope you understand the sensitivity and hurt of making Holocaust jokes. We hope you retract. Will you retract?
I didn't say anything about the Holocaust. I was talking about media bias. I was talking about, if you're a conservative, it's essentially capital punishment. Even Jay Tapper from CNN said, listen, Donald Trump Jr. put out the same thing. He played the clip yesterday on his Twitter account. I said the same thing 2 weeks ago about the media bias, and I used the term electric chair. It was poor choice of words, perhaps. But in no way, shape, or form was I ever even remotely talking about the Holocaust. I wouldn't do it. I think that's disgusting. It's not my style. My sister's Orthodox Jewish. My brother-in-law's, who's a great friend and confidant, said half of my best men in my wedding and the bridesmaids in my wedding were Jewish. I would never do that. But what it really shows, unfortunately, it almost proves the point. I say something, rather than the media asking me about it, rather than saying, hey, Don, were you talking about the Holocaust? They jump, oh, my God, he's talking about the Holocaust.
This was the Anti-Defamation League. You're answering it now.
It's the bias that I was talking about. If I say something, rather than talking about a great jobs plan, rather than talking about a great jobs for women plan, you know, they can't attack my father anymore. They've run out of ammo, so now they're going to attack me. You're going to have Cosmo trying to attack my sister. I understand that's the game that they're playing. But it goes to show my point, which I was making about media bias, which is that if you're a conservative, you don't even get a fair shot. They don't even give you the benefit of the doubt. And it's really a shame.
Well, and that's why we wanted to have you come in and answer the questions
today. And I'm happy to do it, which is why I'm here, addressing it myself. But it's why less than a third of Americans even trust the media anymore. I mean, and those are from Gallup polls. So, you know, I think perhaps this does maybe me a service to say, let's at least be honest about these conversations. Let's just not jump to slander people over something that they would clearly never say, especially when they have a history of using a similar, you know, line talking about the exact same thing time and time again.
Well, I think part of the reason the questions come up, and you've answered that question right now, you said you didn't have the Holocaust in mind, and part of the reason the questions come up is you've had other tweets from anti-Semitic individuals. You had an Instagram post last week, and we want to put it up here right now, that included Pepe the Frog, which is now a well-known symbol of the white supremacist movement. Others in there who have been taken off Twitter because of their racist statements. Others who have questioned whether the government was behind 9/11. That's why the questions come up.
George, if I'm glib, perhaps that's the case. I'd never even heard of Pepe the Frog. I mean, I bet 90% of your viewers haven't heard of Pepe the Frog. I thought it was a frog in a wig. I thought it was funny. I had no idea that there's any connotation there. It's getting ridiculous. But again, that proves my point, which is that anything that they can possibly latch onto, they can't even attack my father anymore. Because guess what? He's coming up with incredible policy, both economic, very aggressive policy in terms of, certainly for a Republican, coming out, you know, plan for working mothers, all of these things. They can't attack those things. They don't even have answers for those things. So what they do, they have to attack me, and that's okay. I'm fine if they go after me, because it just shows that they have nothing against the issues that really matter to Americans these days.
The other questions have come up, and you are executive vice president of the Trump Organization. You saw that Newsweek cover this week. We want to put that up there right now. And the article suggesting that the conflicts raised by the Trump Organization with so many different businesses in so many different countries demand that Mr. Trump sever all ties with the business during this campaign, and if he becomes president. Will he?
If he becomes president, he will certainly do that. He said he would put these things in a blind trust. He will have nothing to do with it, because he's much more concerned, and he said it to me, he's much more concerned about America, about putting Americans back to work, about getting jobs for America. The business that he's created is incredible, but he doesn't care. He said it's small potatoes relative to what he can do for his country that he loves so much.
But it's not a blind trust if you and your siblings are still running
We're not going to be involved in government. We wouldn't be involved in government.
Then it's not a blind trust. You're running the company, and he's president. So any foreign individual...
But he's not making any decisions as it relates to the company. This would be standard operating procedure for any president who's had businesses.
Actually...
I mean, whether it was George Bush, whether it is, it's not going to have anything to do with it. And he said that very publicly. He said that a long time ago.
And George H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton and Mitt Romney, the Republican candidate, all put their interest in a blind trust during the campaign. Your father has not done that.
Well, he will certainly do it if he becomes president.
But a blind trust, it's not a blind trust if it's being run by his children.
It is, because he'll have nothing to do with it, George. He said that. He wants nothing to do with it. He wants to fix this country. He wants to get the country on the right track again.
So there will be a wall between you 100%. And your siblings and your father?
We won't talk to him about it. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's a big company, but it's small potatoes compared to what he wants to do.
But he's still going to know.
He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need any of those things. What he wants to do is he wants to fix America.
He's still going to know what the businesses are, where they are.
We will not discuss, because we're not going to discuss those things. It doesn't matter. Trust me, as you know, it's a very full-time job. He doesn't need to worry about the business. The business is in good hands. He trusts us with that. 100%.
Junior, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you very much, and thanks for not messing up my hair. I appreciate it. I got so much stuff in here. I'm not sure you could have. Thanks.
Let's go back over to Amy.
All right, George, thank you. And as we saw Hillary Clinton back on the campaign trail for the first time since her health scare, and ABC's Cecilia Vega was there as she made that return, and Cecilia joins us now from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Cecilia.
Amy, good morning to you. The last time Hillary Clinton was out in public was the day she nearly collapsed at the 9/11 memorial. She is back, and her return comes at a crucial time in this race. Her first day back on the campaign trail, and just about every chance she got, Hillary Clinton said it.
I'm doing great.
It's great to be back on the campaign trail.
It's great to be back.
From the moment she stepped on the tarmac, a thumbs up, to the second she stepped on that North Carolina stage. It was a day carefully choreographed to show just how good she feels.
I'm not great at taking it easy, even under ordinary circumstances, but with just 2 months to go until Election Day, sitting at home was pretty much the last place I wanted to be.
Overnight, former President Clinton on The Daily Show coming to her defense.
She still feels good. Big deal, she had pneumonia. People get it all the time.
But Hillary Clinton comes back to a race that is tighter than ever. National polls show her lead shrinking, and she is now in a tight battle with Trump in must-win battlegrounds like Florida and Virginia.
When you were home reflecting over these last 3 days, I wonder if you did any soul-searching about these new poll numbers. Is there anything you should be doing differently right now in your campaign?
Lucila, I've always said that this was going to be a tight race. I'm going to keep doing everything I can to deliver my message about what's at stake in this election.
An election she says she wants to be less about fighting and more about issues. And then she went on to slam her opponent.
Every time we think he's hit rock bottom, he sinks even lower.
Well, Clinton's aides say that's the strategy, a focus less on Donald Trump and more on a positive vision for the country. But with that debate just 10 days away and with those polls tightening, we will see how long that lasts. George.
Okay, Cecilia, thanks very much. We're going to move on now.